Good evening, everyone. System Chalk here with the 38th episode of Book of Hours, our first run through House of Light as the archaeologist. And we just got off of a rather good salon. Number one, I like the interactions in them, but we wound up with a language which gave us an element of the soul that we didn't otherwise have access to. So feeling pretty good about this. We're going to finish off the last of the work. We'll need to put the Wild Surmise away to make sure that we keep it. And then for the rest of the day, we've already taken care of the lessons from the salon, so I'm happy with that. But it would be nice if I can get a couple of books read. So these two are immediately accessible to me. I'll probably focus on The Most Sorrowful End of Lady Nona first, just because we don't have herbs and infusions yet. And then we'll see. As always, we'll try and work with whatever opportunities come up for the rest of the season. But we should probably be considering, with the Whist, are there some rooms that are fairly straightforward for me to access? Maybe there's some books that I can read. I have a few different options available to me before we start really pushing in terms of some of my skills. But we'll see. Another thing I should mention too is that if it comes down to it, once I get to, I believe, this room, it's actually the first typewriter that I gain access to, and so that will mean that I don't need to make inks. So I'm not entirely sure that storming through the Kukerbit is quite, I don't know, like, it seems like that's a fairly extreme measure to stop me from brewing certain inks. But on the other hand, if I do have a slightly more restrained approach to the Tree of Wisdoms this time around, the typewriter does actually free up my tryst, right? So if you consider it, I have about 2 days worth of tryst that's tied up in making the inks for a salon. That's not nothing. We still have enough to do. Like the salon doesn't happen frequently enough that I'm really strapped for things to do, but still, it's one of these things that I want to be conscious of in terms of how I'm putting or where I'm allocating my elements of the soul over the course of the day. Okay, Opus Magnum Ceruleum. Ambrose Westcott used to render the title of this venerable and anonymous work mockingly as the Big Blue Business. A kinder translation would be the great work in Azure. Now, I had a really big sky text. Did I misplace it? Won't worry about it right now, but yeah, I'm trying to figure out where all these things fit. This is still 14, so it's appropriate to put in this list here, but so 4 more books to catalog. The Veiled Chamber, I don't immediately have access to it, but let's see here. Access to Mr. Kill actually also gives me access to another character. So if I opened up the clock, I could probably open up the Weeping Chamber as well. I'll think about it. All right, the skill is now level 2. Its power aspects have also increased. While we wait for the day to cross over, we can adjust the placement of a couple of these things. As I used to say in my youth, the day is done and so am I, but I've earned my day. Daybreak, memories fade, assistance departs, but the soul is refreshed. And I got the Wild Surmise very early. Okay. Maybe it's a good idea to wait for the weather. Okay, let's take I should take stock first. So we've got the wheel-filled spring, which requires moon and nectar. We've got the rustling stair, which requires moon and scale. We have the mist-sunk meadow, which is nectar, rose, and sky. The shadowed stair we can basically open any time that we want. The shrouded space is moon and winter. That may potentially give me access to the cucurbit, but I think if I'm going to be using 10 winter, we would want to open up sort of these first. The weeping chamber is a possibility, although that would be sacrificing some non-renewable resources. Although, to be completely honest, that's really more of a question of making sure that I do the order on time rather than try to conserve. The dim hall, so that's edge and grail. I guess the dim hall is probably something I should wait until we have a hailstorm for. Although technically Mrs. Kill can also help us out with that, but I think the dim... Actually, Mrs. Kill's probably slightly more appropriate, but we'll see on that one. Heart Haunted Room, similar story. We'd probably wait on Mrs. Kill for that. Definitely for the Rose Haunted Hall, although we do have the Orchard Keeper coming up, and we don't actually have access to an Earth Sign yet. And then the Wounded Room, I suppose if we had access to Reverend Timothy, that might change the story. But yeah, I don't have any rooms that are immediately leaping out to me as ones that I want to pursue. So the weather will be a determining factor. But before I do anything, I think I'm actually willing to just do some fixing and mending at the Sweet Bones. So there's not much work on offer in Brandkrug, but I can find 6 pence worth of odd jobs. I will go to Crowcross Sands simply because that will give me potentially give me some fish to work with. And I also think I'm going to get some of the ink ahead of time. This is mostly because right now I'm early enough in the day. I'm not really committing myself to any hard actions, and these are all things that I know I'm going to want to do at some point in the future. So we'll see what the weather brings, and then we'll make some decisions in terms of the next steps. Okay, rain. So this does complicate things a little bit. Rain is actually useful for me. So one thing I can do with the rain is try to read a Grail text, which is a little more difficult for me. I could try... Actually, let's see what happens with the beekeep. Oh, hang on. I don't yet have a nectar desk. Right. So this isn't as complicated as I thought. I don't think I can make this one work because I can't add the stone stories, but maybe I can add another leaves and thorns, maybe? I guess I can't use the Whist. Do I really want to use the Arab here? I want to use it more than I want to use the Tryst. I can master this mystery, enough nectar to match mystery nectar. Okay. How badly do I want to go to these forge places? A better question, do I want to be buying anything? And I think I do. So let's get some orders started. So TRN order form. So my options here, I think I'm going to focus on some beef. So I believe, sorry, had a bit of a problem there. So we have got a pheasant. I'm trying to decide if 2 or 3 beef is in order. Probably 3. Okay, that gives me something to start with. I want to think, so if I'm reading this text and we don't have herbs and infusions, I don't have any elements of the soul to commit. But then I suppose the next question is, do I want to just leave it at that? Is there a skill that would be helpful for me to level up? So Resurgences and Emergences is already at level 2. I should take a minute here and just see how I'm treating some of these other ones. Yeah, so actually Resurgences and Emergences is kind of an interesting one because I believe if I'm putting it in Preservation, it starts at level 3 for me. Whether or not I want to worry about that right now is another question. Ragged Crossroads is another one that I want to work out. So Ragged Crossroads is an Illumination and Scolacosophy. So I can actually see that in a situation... Well, actually, if it's... Okay, yeah, so if it's Scolacosophy, it could go anywhere. Weaving and Not Working, that's currently at level 2, so that one goes to Birdsong or Bosk. I don't believe I was going to put that in Bosk, but if it was going into Birdsong, that might imply... that might actually be good as a level 2. Glimmerings is my top priority. And that is a Solutions and Separation... Or, sorry, Sights and Sensations. Okay, let's take a quick second and look at Glimmerings, because it gives me a handful of things that are kind of helpful here. So if we take that, if we add Bells and Braziers... Yes, okay, so I know how I want to handle this. We will use the Shapt to... Wait a minute. Yes, the Whist is going to allow me to level this up as well. So we will use the Shapt to generate a Foresight. That's Revelations. I didn't even remember where we left this. We'll start at Vinzant's Minglings again. Okay, so I'll probably have 2 memories that I get out of that for... But then if it's a Winter and Sky, I'm only ever going to have access to the Whist anyway. So we'll think about that for the future. Moving forward, let's say that we will use... I don't know what I want to use the Tryst for, but I think I'm going to leave it aside. The metal we can use to catalog another text. However, I believe... No, sorry, this should have edge. Yep, so we'll use that for a Dawn Period book. This book was probably written around the time of Hush House's Dawn Period, sometime before the end of the first millennium, commonly reckoned. If I examine it, I can learn more about what knowledge it might contain. And I also want to start opening up some packages. So we'll start with the creative supplies. I can't recall it. Yes, I can use health for this. So something handy. Crack open the container. Delight in your discovery. Carefully mark the creamy paper. So we're going to do 3 beef. And I think that's it for the TRN order. But we'll also get something from Cater and Hero as well. TRN selects its clients carefully, one might say eccentrically. They rarely advertise, but in their long history they have never lacked for custom. Okay, so for that, we'll now head to the post office. Provide money equal to the cost, so that's 36. Complete the order. Now we're not quite done because we want to do a Cater and Hero order as well. This is going to be about resupplying the drinks. And yes, I'm deliberately using the Perinculate. So Let's do... I don't think I have any Evening Isles coffee, so I think at a minimum we want 2. I'd probably go for 3, except we're also fighting for space. So I think we'll do 2 Evening Isles, 2 Dawn Lion. I think I'll probably just get one of the Assam and one of the Lapsang. Order a packet of Evening Isles coffee from Cater and Hero. The postmistress signs and seals the order, places it in the place that stamped orders are properly placed. Wait 3 days, she commands. It drives me absolutely insane the way that they do change now. Alright, Dawn Lion coffee. Order a packet of Dawn Lion coffee from Cater and Hero. Now I have an idea of this book's nature and its contents. The Concursum Diaries. No curses on this one. And actually it's only 8 rows. So I have a fighting chance of being able to read that one. Although the catch is that we don't yet have Fet. Okay, so we'll push this one ahead. We'll move this one down. And I can't remember where the 8 start. Try and keep these 2 CDs separate. So I believe I need a second Dawn Lion coffee. I have no idea why I keep adding stone stories to this. I think that's just because of the refill. I'm happy enough to have it, but there we go. Okay, so the Evening Owls, Dawn Lion, I think we said 1 of the second Flush Assam. One of the Lapsang. And I think that's it. Although I don't think a half crown's going to cut it this time. I'll maybe just take a quick look at the pantry to make sure I'm not missing anything obvious. We've got lots of milk, lots of ham, plenty of butter. We might be a bit short on sugar. Not too sugar. Definitely not short on dripping. We'll get that from the beef. And I suppose I could order the copper wire, but I'm really not going to need that for a while. So I think we'll accept what we've got. We will send off the order, and we will wait 3 days. So yeah, 72, we're using the £1 note. Complete the order. As I used to say in my youth, the day is done and so am I, but I've earned my pay. This summer, I am sitting on the bench outside the Sweet Bones, eating crumbly cheese and nettle wrappings and good black rye bread, soaking up the sun. And here we've got a catwink, dark and pungent. I suppose the question is, do I want to use the tris to make more of this? Or do I want to try and get something from Crowcross Sands? I think I'll probably make another catwink. I've never felt bad about doing that ahead of time. And having a surplus of ink has helped me get rid of some curses as well. Speaking of, I may want to prioritize certain skills to help me with the curses I've gotten as well. The postmistress signs and seals the order and places it in the place that stamped orders are properly placed. Wait 3 days, she commands. And Vinzant's Minglings. The metallurgist and skysmith, Everett Vinzant, speaks of the sacred alloys, the alloys eternal, the alloys sufficient, and the alloys intendant. Everett describes the voices and powers of mortals and immortals based on their composition by analogy to the sounds and strengths of bells based on the metals of their casting. Vincent warns that mingling metals of too great a volatility can produce the alloys incestuous. He suggests very cautiously that the means used by the sovereigns of the Leashed Flame to produce their heirs may have analogous issues. For though the crime of the sky may be circumvented, yet the law remaineth the law, in spirit as in letter. Now, I did get a little crazy by using my metal to catalog a book. It's mostly just I didn't plan it out properly in terms of restoring it, but we can still read the book at the halfway point of the day. All right, now this is a pleasant surprise. Tin. I actually don't think I've gotten tin in the game before. I don't know if this was added for House of Light or if I just hadn't noticed before. But the white metal of the sun and rags. I move this over here. Maybe we can fit it. Okay, well, I'll make this the next package I open anyway. So I might as well use the health in this case. So we've got the contraband jetsam, flung overboard in furtive haste. Who threw this overboard? Actually, I suppose I could also put this up at the by the workbench where we found it, but I suppose it doesn't really matter where we put it. And I won't use the core at Crowcross Sands just because I want to use this to open a package if I can. Alright, we've got more contraband flotsam, salt stained and wave racked. I guess this one I'll put at the workbench. I'm not unhappy that we got that, but certainly throws a little bit of a wrench in my unpacking plans. I'm trying to think if it would have been worth it to bring in somebody like Denzel today for conversation, but I guess I'm not really using the memories to gain any of the skills. Maybe it would have been an idea to pour some water and restore something in bed, but... Okay, so here I'm going to grab the metal. It is summer. I am sitting on the bench outside the Sweet Bones, eating crumbly cheese in nettle wrappings and good black rye bread, soaking up the sun. And here's another cat wink. So yeah, the funny thing is I sometimes agonize about decisions like, oh, should I use this tryst or not? And yet some of the decisions that I wind up making, like using the metal for cataloging a book, those are the ones that actually have a larger time implication. So that one is effectively 2 minutes worth of 2 minutes of the day taken out, whereas the choice of the tryst isn't. I mean, it's a minute for the cat wink, but it also saves me the minute. The way I actually kind of like to think about the way I'm using tryst right now is I'm essentially banking elements of the soul for a future period where I need to write the letters. Okay, the most sorrowful end of the Lady Nona. An unauthorized account of the death of Abbess Nona, written by Eusebia, one of the two sisters accused of having murdered Nona through poisoning and arts unsanctioned. Eusebia, awaiting execution, intends to hide this account in her cell. Nona has introduced Eusebia to an unsanctioned Thunderskin cult, which meets in the caves below the abbey. There, she and the others perform sacred dances for the preservation of the kingdom. Eusebia claims that Nona asked her and another sister to prepare her a lethe draught, which can be brewed from another beverage with herbs and infusions techniques and a sufficient quantity of nectar, for a rite that all three of them would perform below the abbey. Something goes awry. Nona is possessed of a tenebrous spirit, and the abbey brethren are forced to quell her with star iron. The other two are implicated as scapegoats, Eusebia implies, though she acknowledges her fault also. So we have an impulse for that. And we'll add this to our collection right away. Should probably make sure I put this... There's the impulse shelf. Alright, I think I'm just going to put this upstairs. I figure if I put these in the same... Oh, maybe I can't. I figure if I put these in the same place, it's more likely for me to catch them. Sorry, I need to sneeze. Or not. There we go. Sorry about that. Use this lesson to acquire a new skill. So again, I don't think I'm going to worry about any of the other books for today. Excuse me. So the Whist will help me level up the Sights and Sensations. The Core will be used to open a package. The Shapt I will use to earn a little bit of money. Oh, and of course the Metal will be used to read the book. I should probably prepare for a case where... Yeah, I think I'll be able to level up Sights and Sensations once, but I'll probably have a spare lesson crossing over into Autumn. That's not a catastrophe, though. All right, another leaf on the Tree of Wisdoms. Herbs and infusions. Pluck it, powder it, mix it, warm it, drink it. But not that one. This is actually helpful. So it's a start, but I believe we now have something that we can use against the corruption. So this we still need. I should really think about the Theoplasmas, actually. This one we need to worry about for infestations, but Keeper Skin. So this Herbs and Infusions is the start. Okay, so if I take a minute... Yeah, actually, come to think of it, we still want... This is... the Echoing Chamber is moving up higher and higher on my list of things to fix. So with Herbs and Infusions, I guess what we would do... We'd put that down. We'd put health, which of course we have only one nectar out of that. So this would start us off with 3. We need 7. So I suppose the challenge here is that we would need some kind of tool or ink to give us 4 nectar. That's not really realistic, right? Oh, hang on. No, sorry. I'm not thinking sensibly about this. So if we get access to Nona's desk, we take Herbs and Infusions. So we have our health, which would give us 1 nectar. We have Herbs and Infusions itself, which would give us 2 nectar. We could, in theory, have something like Ugal, I believe. I don't think I have an example of Ugal, actually. So let's just say Ugal, that should be good for 2 more nectar. So that gives us up to 4. At that point, we need a memory, which gives us 3. So with Drums and Dances, if we somehow pull it off, a Hive's Lament would actually get that for us. Alternatively, if we can find some sort of an ink that gives me 3 or higher, we could get away with a memory that gives me 2 nectar. But I think probably trying to get to a point where I can make a Hive's Lament would be the better call here. Which is a tall order, but not impossible. This is also another way of saying that maybe I shouldn't expect to get rid of the Keeper Skin anytime soon. But we will also be in a situation where we can... we'll be in a situation where we can level up Drums and Dances sooner than I think. Better now. All right. Now, I'm going to need to thread the needle here a little bit. So first thing I'm going to do is read Glimmering, or Glimmerings. Yeah, I need the... something with Forge anyway. So I can master this mystery, enough Forge to match Mystery Forge. So... I don't see a credible situation in which I'm able to use this whist more than once. Oh, I know how I want to do this. Let's say we... Okay, so I'm going to restore the Shapt of the Sweet Bones. I'm going to use the Consider verb to open another container. Crack open the container, delight in your discovery. We can do the same with these in the shaft. And then this one I just used to earn some money next period. The end of the day with the sweet bones is always a little, it's not hard, but it's something that I like to spend some time thinking about, because I want to make sure that I'm in a situation where I'm able to, you know, again, money isn't the end of the world in terms of this game. I've got plenty. I don't exactly need this, the sixpence, but it's a nice little easy thing for me to keep going to make sure that I'm not running short. But the last thing that I kind of want to do is say, oh, what a shame, I'm not able to restore something and earn some money at the end of the day. Now this one isn't as big of a deal. But if I can make it so that I earn a little bit of money at the very end of the day, and maybe I'm able to take advantage of, you know, just some opportunity to catalog a book that I otherwise wouldn't have, or something like that. Those are nice to just get out of the way where I can. In this case here, we'll just earn the money with the shaft. I don't need to get too clever about this. But if I could make it so that I restore something that allows me at the end of the day to, you know, earn some money, and then also use that to open a package or something like that, it's just an example of being ahead in terms of cash, being able to make the most of my elements of the soul, and then again, just banking some stuff that for the next day I know that's one fewer thing that I need to do, and so I can generate the memories or whatever else it is that I need to do to try and get ahead. So, in any case, the Sweet Bones. The Sweet Bones has been the public house in Brandkrug since Cromwell's time. Its history is notable, its beer is not. Guests looking for discreet employment or for discreet assistance congregate in the snug. There's not much work on offer in Brandkrug, but I can find sixpence worth of odd jobs. And we gained another packet of TRN limited drinking cocoa. Not exactly something that I needed, but we didn't order it from TRN, so I'm happy we got that one as opposed to the others. Okay. What ship lost this? And then in 55 seconds, we will have Glimmerings taken care of. So, Glimmerings, an anonymous prison diary written by a dreamer convicted of oniric irresponsibility and confined to the cucurbit. The prisoner is plainly terrified and bewildered by their situation, but has been unable to wrangle a coherent explanation out of anyone. But the dreams keep coming, and they keep writing them down. Night has fallen, dawn will come soon, so I do want to make sure that I get the Wild Surmise tucked away. Now that night has fallen, I can rest and perhaps dream on the day's doings. Let's finish reading the book before we go any further. Snow, broken mirrors, half-heard sky music, flowers of white, red, and black, a blood-streaked winter dawn, the most notorious signifiers of oniric risk, fantastically vivid and detailed. No wonder they were locked up. Their final recorded dream is of a worm jewel beneath Brandkrug Isle, which they open with a key carved from their finger bone. So this one gets its own shelf. I am very familiar with this text because of the bittersweet certainty it gives me. So as expected, we wound up with 2 memories off of this. It would be nice to be able to use... Well, actually, I guess bittersweet certainty... No, the winter still helps. Actually, we might be able to do... I know we'll lose the whist, but... No, sorry. I need... right, I'll need 2 memories, so... Spoke too soon. But yeah, lesson memory. There's always more to learn. And there's the money. apparently I have more unpacking to do. All right, not a bad day's work. So obviously the sights and sensations are something that I need to worry about for tomorrow. We'll see what the season brings. We'll have another visitor on the Affair of the Endless Guest, unless it's a one-person story, which I don't think ever happens. Yeah, I think it's pretty clear what the next few steps will be. Obviously, if we get hit by Numa, everything goes out the window, but most likely how I will spend my time will be a... Let me put this in the right spot. So I think for next week, I don't know if I'll put this in a to-do list or not, but 3 books, so 1 for the medal for sure. We'll probably use the Shapt for the 2 baronial period books. There's always a risk, but we do have 2 Shapts, so it's not the end of the world if one of them gets afflicted. I'll need to figure out what I want to do with Sights and Sensations, because that one I believe can go to Hushery and Nyctodromy. Oh yes, actually this one's a bit of an interesting one, just because I believe this would be one that I don't need a level 2 for, so there's actually a justification to push this up higher. The only, catch on this one is we've already moved up Bells and Braziers, so we're good for, the Sky, which is the secondary for Sights and Sensations, so it's not that powerful for Winter, which we'd already have for Ragged Crossroads. I don't know, we'll think about it. But yeah, we'll work out what we want to do with Sights and Sensations. We will catalog the remaining books. For Autumn, that gives us access to Heart and Nectar. I think the Nectar is more powerful, but I'm not convinced that using the Nectar is the most helpful thing that I can be doing for the next little while. I'm actually willing to say that maybe we wait for Winter and use either the Moon or the Winter for... we use the Moon or the Winter to open up the relevant rooms. And as always, my outside option is to work with Mr. Kill and just feed him the Solomon's Preparation and such. We may also want to spend some time thinking about how I want to engage with the gardens. We're doing okay for vegetables, we're doing okay for eggs, so I don't feel an immediate need to handle it, but you never know. And of course the Salon, but that will be handled in a future episode. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it this week. I'm actually happy with the progress that we made, and I'm looking forward to recording some more episodes next week. Just as a quick word, because we'll be coming up near Christmas, I think, I don't plan on taking a whole lot of time off for Christmas or anything like that, so the episodes should be regularly updated. If there's going to be any change in the schedule, I'll try to mention that ahead of time. I think any time that I'm taking off will probably be around January, or at the very least sort of the first few months of 2025. So it would be nice to plan a break for the stream around that, just so I don't feel like I'm kind of working on a vacation time. But I think the best way to handle that is just to try and be upfront with people and let them know as early as I can about that. But again, I'll figure that out. There's no need for me to figure that out right now at the end of a video. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week. Take care.